The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Missouri Milestones, the podcast here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Sorry we came in a little hot there, but hey, it is August 7th, so it's warm outside, but apologize if we rang your eardrums there. But this is Season 1, Episode 12, here on August the 7th of Missouri Milestones, the podcast. And hey, do us a favor. Tell your friends, tell your family, hey, go to MissouriSportsNetwork.com, send us a note, drop us an email, sign up and follow us at Twitter at Scoreboard Guy or at playing_sports or at Missouri_sports. And hell, you'll be the smartest fan in the stands. We are in August. The high school football season will have begun by the end of this month, and we'll be talking the rest of the week with a lot of high school football coaches and college coaches from around the state of Missouri. But here in the Missouri Milestones, we look at the past. We look if you've scored 1,000 career points in boys or girls basketball, high school basketball in the state of Missouri, you're on that list. There's no membership dues. There's no secret handshakes, no special doors to knock on. You have gotten in. We've added several other categories to it, and Kent Mueller, who is alongside with us today, we'll talk about those later on here in the opening here of the Missouri Milestones, the podcast, presented by the Missouri State Highway Patrol, who reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. Invite you once again to stay tuned after the first break here. We'll be hearing from it's kind of an unusual situation, and Kent will tell us a little bit more about that. It's something we haven't done in our first 12 episodes of Missouri Milestones, the podcast. But I will turn it over to the one and only Kent Mueller from Playing on Sports. Kent, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. We started Missouri Milestones with that 1,000-point career scoring list for both boys and girls. We now have over 1,500 boys and over 1,200 girls. And it won't be long before we have combined lists totaling 3,000 and more Missouri athletes. Those lists will continue to grow as we dig out more of Missouri high school history, and also as we record and recognize those who will cross that threshold each season going forward. Due to the strong response for the basketball career stats, we have expanded to include 3 stats for football and 5 stats for volleyball. And for volleyball, that's for both boys and girls. For football, the thresholds are 4,000 passing yards, 2,000 rushing yards, and 2,000 receiving yards. For volleyball, the thresholds are 1,000 career kills, assists, or digs, and also 200 total blocks and 100 service aces. And it will be fun to not only note athletes who achieve inclusion on more than one statistic for their sport, but also those who achieve inclusion in more than one sport. That will be fun for us to cover. And some of you are wondering just where you can see these lists and how you can contribute. The easiest way to see the list as they get updated is to follow us on X. You can follow Guy Newcomb and at Scoreboard Guy, and you can follow me, Kent Mueller, at playing_sports. By following us, you will get updated lists as they become available. And when you see those lists, 2 of the things that can happen is that you might see a correction that needs to be made, or you could have athlete information that we need to include. All you have to do is to email me at playingonsports@gmail.com. That's playingonsports@gmail.com. Now that you are following us on X and you know how to contact us, let's get to the Missouri Milestones interview of the week. This week, we weren't satisfied with an interview of the week. This week, we have 2 interviews for you, both with 1,000-point career basketball scorers. Why 2 this week? Well, remember, we have thousands of athletes, each with a very good story to tell. We first interviewed Michaela Burgess. Michaela graduated from Webb City High in 2014 with over 1,500 points. She then went on to star at Pittsburgh State University. We then also interviewed Addie Roller, who graduated from Purdy High in 2012 after scoring 2,392 career points. She finished her playing career at Drury University before moving into coaching. One of her first positions on the sideline was as a graduate student assistant at Pittsburgh State, where her path crossed once again with Michaela Burgess. Addie now is the head coach at Cedarville University, a Division II school in Ohio. It was clear that Addie and Michaela continue a good relationship as each spoke to the other in our separate interviews. That and more makes it a must watch. And here they are.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Missouri Milestones, the podcast here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. Guy Newcomb alongside Kent Mueller, and we go to Webb City, Missouri, and bring in friend of the show now.
Friend of the show.
Family of the show. Family.
Yeah.
You know, you go back, Michaela, to those interviews back when you were in high school at the Gerald Pills All-Star Games, and we are visiting with Michaela Burgess, 2014 graduate of Webb City High School. Take us back to those high school days. What memories stand out, whether it be players you got to play with, coaches, players you got to play against? Take us back, and that's not that long ago. So
it's not that long ago, but it feels like it. And I don't know if just like memories stack on each other, and then it just starts to get like, I oftentimes wonder if I remember it really like it happened, or I'll tell a story to my mom and dad and they're like, no, like this is actually who won that game or who did this, but I mean, I think with all of my athletic experiences and the teams I've played on and the programs I've been a part of, it's always been just the people that I remember. Just the reality of it is the score. You can't remember what the score was. You can remember the big games you lost. Those ones sting. And you can remember the big ones you won, but it's just the people and the way that our lives have, stayed together and interwoven throughout the years since high school and keeping up with everybody. But yeah, it's funny to look. I do feel like it's been forever since I was in high school, even though it hasn't been. My 10-year reunion was last year, so we're getting up there.
Take us back to your freshman year. Did you come in right away and get to start? Do you remember that opportunity when you first were in that starting lineup?
I remember my freshman year. I had a wave of talent above me. So they're kind of known as the Fab Five. Were seniors. So there was Haley Roderick, Caitlin Jaeger, Kendall Clark, Sharenda Campbell. They were all above me. They were all seniors. Very talented group. And then several juniors that contributed, a few sophomores. So I was the only freshman on the team. I remember I would walk into practice and they would all be warming up on one basket and I would be down on the other end by myself, just scared to death to interact or do anything. But both, in high school and college, I feel like I just had really, really strong positive leadership over me, which I think was a huge contributing factor to some of the success that I was able to have. Just because I always said I never wanted to be the best one on the team. So I want to be surrounded by talent. And I feel like I definitely had that privilege in high school, coming in and just seeing talent right before me. They had won the state championship the year that they had won. I'm pretty sure they won the state. They either got first or second, but right before I got there. So then I stepped in and we went to state my first year there. And I think having that experience as a freshman just sets you up for success and gives you kind of a leg up going into your sophomore year, even though they had all graduated. I had been there. I felt like I kind of knew what it took. And so, a lot of talent above me when I was a freshman in high school.
Do you remember, rivalries as you look back throughout your high school career, not just your freshman year, but obviously that talented group you had as a freshman, and then you got to step in and take more of a prominent role your sophomore through senior year. what were some of those rivalries? I mean, friendly rivalries. I mean, teams that you enjoyed playing against, or individual players maybe that you look forward to playing because you knew you were going to get their best effort.
Yeah. Man, I'm sure we had some ones I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. My mind instantly goes to just playing Carthage because they had some girls that, well, they knocked us out my sophomore year. We lost to them in the, I want to say district championship. And I'll never forget. There's pictures after me after that game, just like I thought it ended my whole life. And so just coming back and competing against them every year just kind of fueled me in a very competitive way. But they had some Chloe Shepard, Vanessa Pollock, some girls that just like you knew they were going to come out and play, which I always was, just hungry for that opportunity. Obviously, the Springfield schools always gave us a run. I mean, playing against Hannacook, playing against Nixa, playing against Republic always gave us a game. I mean, in our conference, I remember like just being a part of the COC, you felt like same thing as college, being a part of the MIAA, like you had to come and bring it every night, or I mean, it was a tough conference. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, over 1,500 points in high school. Do you remember your first basket?
Do I remember my first basket? I remember the first time I was gonna suit up for varsity. It was at Nixa, and he told me I was gonna suit up for varsity. So he was limiting my JV quarters, and I was like, no, I still want to play JV because I was like, I'm just gonna go sit varsity. I want to play. Like, I want the JV minutes. And so Walter Risa was my coach at the time. So he played me 2 quarters of JV. I had 28 points in those 2 quarters and then played varsity. I didn't think I would get a minute of time really, but I don't know if we were winning. I don't know what the situation was, but I remember having 15 or something points in the varsity game. And just, I felt like it was funny being a part of like my freshman year, both years. It felt like I could just get shots that I could never get again my sophomore, junior, senior year. I used to just be able to dribble down and shoot it if I wanted to. Like I didn't have anybody near me. So it's always funny, like looking back and being like, it was like freshman year in high school and college. It was like, no one knows you yet. Like spot up and get shot off. Like just kind of a sweet little time period to not have to create your shot as much because nobody really knows who you are or what you can do with the basketball. So
if you could get in a time machine and go back and play, 1 or 2 or 3 games over in high school, and it's probably games that got away from you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we might, if I'd have played better, we may have won that game. Are there games you look at that you remember thinking, man, we should have won that game? I'd like to go play that again.
Oh man, I feel that way. About some college games. I don't know if memories have just gotten away from me. There's some losses that I would go back and give them another good shot at it. But I'm trying to think. I wouldn't go play Incarnate Word again. I'd let them have that one. I'd let them have that one. But I don't know. I think just going back and I would love to just watch more of those games back then. And I'm sure that I have the film somewhere, but I was talking to my dad about that the other day. Like just going back and watching myself, I bet I would be like, man, I was horrible. I just wasn't as good as I thought I was. But I don't know. High school memories they're a little dusty right now, but I would love to go back and watch them.
Again, we're visiting with 2014 Webb City graduate Michaela Burgess, and you look the same. You haven't aged. I can remember sitting there at Branson at the Gerald Pills All-Star game, and I think I think I got to visit with you 2 or 3 times during that because you would come in and out of the game, and whoever was coaching would just send ladies down from both benches to come on the show with us. But those memories stand out to me. If you could get in a time machine and go back to that 7th or 8th grade Michaela Burgess and give her some advice based on what you know now, you're 10 years removed from high school, what advice would you go back and give that young Michaela Burgess before she got to high school based on what you know not right now as an adult?
I think one of my biggest regrets, if you want to call it that, looking back on my athletic career, was just always kind of worrying on whose toes I was going to step on if I stepped on the court and competed and gave it everything. You know, girls are a little different than probably playing against a squad of boys, but sometimes, you worry about feelings or this and that, or how our seniors going to feel if I come in and, and compete or win or whatever. And then that same kind of mindset always carried kind of throughout my college career. Like, I just always wanted everyone to like have their moment. And then I still would have been that same respectful kid, but I just would have told that younger version of me, just like, go play. Don't worry about how anyone else is going to perceive it or whatever, who cares? Go play basketball, enjoy it. You're only going to get to do it for so long. So, just go compete and stop worrying about all that other stuff. But I mean, I look back and I know there's a lot of, so many good memories. So it's hard to say that there's anything I really would have changed or done differently. I think I had great mentors around me that pulled the best out of me. So probably just would have told her to ride the bus home instead of riding with my dad on the way home. So
what motivated you, or that maybe a person, it may be family. You've mentioned your dad 2 or 3 times in this interview. I know your brother, Tyler.
Yeah.
What or who motivated Michaela Burgess to get out of bed every day and give her the best shot?
Yeah, I was talking to my boyfriend about that the other day, just because athletes now, they don't, and I'm not looking, and I'm taking an overall assessment. So I know there's kids out there that are different, but I feel like they're not as intrinsically motivated as I would say I was, in my high school collegiate career. But, they need coaches, they need trainers, they need 5 people telling them how to do it and what to do. And I feel like and I feel like my parents, my mom instilled that grit in me. Like, you want to do something, you're going to work at it. You're going to go try to be the best you can be at it. So I definitely have my parents to thank, my brother for dogging me in the driveway. He couldn't now, for the record. Let's make sure we get that on air. He could not beat me. We haven't played in probably 12 years because he knows there's nothing he can do. But yeah, just coaches. I had coaches. I had my parents who pulled it out of me, but I do feel like there was something just like in me that was like, no one had to tell me to compete. No one had to tell me to work hard. Like, I was going to go out there and try to be like the best that I could be. I was going to compete in drills that coaches wanted to be fun. By the end of it, they were going to be like, that wasn't even fun, Michaela, because you had to make it competitive. But I don't know. I think I wish the athlete, just in my coaching experience, I've coached at the high school level, I've coached at the collegiate level. And that's just what I try to instill in girls, is like, no one needs to pull it out of you. Like, pull it out of yourself, because one day you're going to work a job and no one's going to hold your hand. They're not going to show up in your cubicle every day and give you a pump up speech. Like, go be that for yourself. Go motivate yourself. And so I don't know. I just think that has served me well in life, just having a little bit of that intrinsic motivation.
So you graduate high school, you make the decision to attend college, and what was that decision? What was that based on? Was it geographic?
Yeah, it was based on how close Mama Burgess was. I couldn't go too far away from her. And I gave a verbal to them my sophomore year. I can't remember if I think it was going into my sophomore year. And I was just obsessed with the idea of staying close to home. I wanted my grandparents at games. I wanted family at games, which my dad logged how many miles they traveled throughout my college career, down to the mile, flights, drives, everything. They never missed anything. So I could have gone anywhere, I guess, but I think it paid off. Staying close to home just gave me that. I loved Pitt State. Loved just the college town, the way that everyone pours into you, shows up at games. It was an easy decision for me. I mean, met Coach Lord, met Coach David. They invested in me quick, and then I really just hit the ground running and never looked back or weighed any other options.
I know Kent's got a few college questions for you. Go ahead, Kent.
Well, just Tell us a little bit more about that transition from high school basketball to college basketball from a coaching standpoint, from being coached by different coaches, having different players around you, just different type of basketball. Just tell us a little bit about that transition.
Yeah. Coach, I think everybody, if you lined them all up, everybody who's ever coached me would tell the same story. I think they would say they loved me with a smirk on their face and know that there was a lot of challenges behind that smile. I can look back in high school and being coached by Brad Shorter, and I remember we used to go at it on the sidelines, and hug it out after, but we would speak our minds. And then same thing, transitioning into playing for Coach Lord at Pitt State. We knew how to challenge each other. And in multiple meetings with him, I think it was just an adjustment period for me, playing for someone new, playing for someone who maybe, hadn't coached anybody quite like, my personality before. And, my personality wasn't small on the basketball floor. So he had his work cut out for him, bless his heart. But I think you just come in as a freshman, and I was eager to play. I didn't want a red shirt. I wanted every opportunity I could have. And so I think I just put a lot of pressure on, him to make decisions or, do different things. But it's just hilarious to us now to look back and analyze our relationship from freshman year to senior year. And I told him, you hear about coaches challenging players all the time. You don't always hear about players challenging coaches. So, we laugh about it now, but I think that was probably just the biggest adjustment for me was learning to play for someone new and going from being a senior and, being the center of your team to being the freshman, and you have a lot of talent above you, which I loved, competing with girls that, dominated like that and knew the league already and all those things. So, but it was still an adjustment for sure.
Well, and you had a lot of personal success at both levels, but you had a lot of team success also. You didn't ever have a team in college where you lost 10 games, and that's a good team record. And I believe as a sophomore, you got to the Elite Eight. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about that postseason run?
Yeah, it was, still memories that I hold on to. I'll always hold on to them. But like you said, talented teammates. So shout out to my coaches for recruiting the right talent. But yeah, we were just led well by, and again, it stemmed from that class that we had my freshman year, I think, for all of us. We had a talented group of sophomores and seniors too, but that my freshman year, those seniors, we didn't have the success that we should have, I think. But I think that was the most talented team I've ever played on, my freshman year of college. And I think they led the way and gave us the experience and leadership to know what to do. So we stepped in, that following year, and I feel kind of just reached the potential that team had my freshman year that we didn't get to see. But yeah, it was incredible. We got to play in front of our home crowd, pack it out. And it was just so cool. There's videos and memories that I'll go back and watch and just be reminded of just seriously how cool it was to see the community rally around our team, and how excited they were for us. And we got to, just every step of the way, how we got there, the teams that we beat to get there, couldn't have written the script any better. Super, super cool experience.
Well, that's fun. And you described the transition from high school to college, but then you also had another transition to being a part of a college basketball team, and being on the sidelines, but unable to go into a game because you spent a year as a grad assistant and then a year as an assistant coach. Tell us about those 2 years, what that was like. You're not playing anymore, but you're helping the younger ones out there on the court. What's that like?
Yeah, it was, I think in God's timing, he truly orchestrated that whole thing, because my plan was to be a grad assistant the year I graduated college in 2018. And so my plan was to go right to being a grad assistant. And I think God knew that wasn't the best fit for me. Basketball, the way it ended, kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And I was just like, no, I'm going to step away from it. And then a few years later, reached out to Coach David, was the head coach, and, got under her wing and took that opportunity to be a grad assistant. And what a cool thing, just to like jump back in and see girls who are right where I was a few years ago, but have this whole new perspective on, what matters, what doesn't, what you should be doing, what you need somebody to tell you to stop doing. And I felt like we had such a unique relationship because they really they really connected with me because they knew I just did it. And so, I could tell them I just did this. I just made these mistakes, and you can keep making them, or you can listen to me and you can, skip the step where you do it wrong, or but I learned from them too. It was a great experience of just building relationships. Like I said, the people are what you remember. Every team you're a part of, it's not really about the wins and losses as much as it's just the people you connect with. And I got to build some really cool relationships with the girls that I loved and still keep up with them now. So it was a very, very awesome experience.
And my last question is, if talking to high school girls who want to play in college, and if you're limited to just one thing to tell them to put them in better stead to achieve that dream of theirs, what would that one thing be that you would tell them?
Don't ever expect anyone to coach your effort. Go bring that every time you go play, bring effort and your competitive drive, and let everything else work out. But if a coach is ever coaching your effort, then hang them up. Hang them up. You don't need to lace them anymore. Just because I think you're wasting your time. If you don't have it inside of you, then you're not going to like it. You're not going to be happy at the college level. You just got a long road ahead of you if you're not willing to coach yourself in that category.
Michaela, and again, we're visiting with 2014 Webb City graduate Michaela Burgess here on Missouri Milestones, the podcast. Tell the folks a little bit about what you're doing now and what led to that situation, and if people wanted to reach out to you, you've got a business, and what are you doing now?
I own a preschool, the Plaid Drive Preschool in Webb City. Again, God orchestrated. I graduated college, and it quite literally fell in my lap. Just blessed and humbled all the way through of how it's all worked out. But this is getting ready to start my 7th school year, and I have right under 100 kids enrolled. So yeah, it's awesome. Every day is different. Every day is chaotic and energetic and filled with just a ton of moments that make me love my job. But truly, I just love it. Again, you get to invest in people. You get to just feel like you're providing something to the community that is, when you're working with their people's kids, what's more valuable than that?
What kind of basketball talent do you have in the preschool level?
We're getting there. We start with 1 ball first semester, and then we get to 2 ball dribbling in second semester. No, just kidding. But we have a basketball gym where we do recess in it, and I'll get out there, and it'll blow their mind if I can make it from anywhere. So very easily impressed, but does good things for me when I get out. If I'm having a bad day, just go let them cheer me on while I make layups or something. So yeah, it's a very, very fun, extremely passionate just about education and kids in general. But again, I just feel like God has handed me an opportunity to be a blessing and pour back into the community, and just very cool and very honored to be part of it.
Very good. Well, Michaela, I will tell you, coming up here later on today, we'll be interviewing Addie Roller.
Mm-hmm.
You're very familiar with Addie and her family, and coached with her and played for her. Tell us a little bit about Addie, and I must tell you now, she's going to get the last word on this.
Addie and I are very, very similar, very hard-headed, very competitive. I'd be interesting to hear her perspective on coaching, what it was like coaching me. But she can't talk too much because I know what it was like to coach her. I've heard stories about that. So don't let her talk for too long about what that was like. No, Addie's great. Great friendship, lifelong friend in Addie. So that'll be a great interview for you guys.
All right. Well, Michaela, never disappointed when I get to sit with you. It's and again, that goes back to those Gerald Pills All-Star games. It was the first time that I got to visit with you and Coach Brad Shorter, who you've mentioned. He and I are pretty close, and I think that's how I got your number. So I'm sure you still stay in contact with Coach Shorter as well. But Addie, it's been a pleasure and always has been. Congratulations on being part of the Missouri Milestones, the podcast. There's no dues. You don't have to pay to be a part of it. There's no secret handshakes. You've already done your work, and God bless you. And I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate your guys' time so much. Thanks for thinking of me.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Missouri Milestones, the podcast here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Presented by Doak Propane, the Bank of Billings, and the Missouri State Highway Patrol, who remind us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. We go to Cedarville, Ohio here for our Missouri Milestones, and we welcome in Addie Roller Miller. Coach Miller, head coach at Cedarville University. Coach, thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to see you again.
You as well. And we visited with a few folks here over the past couple of days. And, you know, we have a rule at Missouri Sports Network that to be officially a friend of the show, you have to have made 3 appearances. And Addie, you're probably 15 appearances in if you go back to high school. But, and going back to high school, let's talk about just that. Your freshman year, you come in as a freshman. Tell us kind of how that went through. Did you start immediately? What was that like when you first got to high school there, Purdy?
Yeah, I did. Purdy just in general was such a blessing. Like, I'm so thankful and honored to grow up in such a small town, Southwest Missouri. I wouldn't have, written the story kind of any different. Just with the people and all my, siblings and cousins and everyone just being around, like it was such a family. Just growing up there was just awesome. But yeah, my sister was 4 years older. So she had played for the 4 years, obviously. She graduated, then I stepped in and was a freshman. So there was kind of a roller for a while. There's obviously a lot of cousins there too. But they were getting better when she was, in high school, and so we just kind of wanted to keep that streak kind of going and continue to grow and be successful. And my freshman coach was Coach George. She had originally come from Monette back in the day, but she was my freshman coach, and we were successful. I don't remember. I know I was listening to Michaela's interview earlier, and I don't remember scores or records or that kind of stuff a lot. You remember the people, but I remember we were pretty good. I know back then when we were playing against, Hannah Wilkerson at Miller and Whitney Eady at Exeter and a couple girls at Verona that were my age, like those were the 3 that I remember the most of just like rivals and playing against throughout my 4 years there. But yeah, I started right away. The sophomore class was really, really good. And so we were super young. And so we knew, the next few years that we had a real chance to be something special. And luckily that kind of turned to fruition a few years later. But so yeah, we weren't very old. We weren't very deep. But even at a small high school, we had good numbers. And so that was always fun. I don't remember at times. I just remember we did have JV occasionally based off of just to get some people quarters and to play some other JV teams. But thankfully and blessed that I was, talented and we were talented, that I played varsity starting right out of the gate as a freshman.
Coming in that freshman year, your sister had graduated. Mm-hmm. Who kind of, put their arm around you and kind of guided you, kind of mentored you a little bit, that maybe one of those upperclassmen did you kind of latch on to?
Yeah, I think just being from a small town, like even, you start playing when you're in like fifth grade in terms of school ball. And so when you start fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, you go to all the high school games. Obviously, my sister being in high school, there's just so many people that you want to be like that are mentors, whether that's, coaches or teachers, family in general, that kind of stuff. My grandpa was a coach. And so just having, him be around and background wise of why I'm probably a coach today is something he instilled in me. And so there's just so many to name. But yeah, I mean, my sister was competitive. She was super smart in the classroom, and she's a doctor now. So that lends to that. But she was very good at all sports that she did. And so I just wanted to be like her. And luckily God had blessed me with skills too. And so it just kind of, I mean, I had cousins that were really good. And so just the amount of people that were around, you just had that competitive nature in you. Coach Schaller had been there my entire life. Really, she was an assistant coach when I was in high school, and there was just a lot of people in all sports. Of course, when you go to a small town, you play everything. Not that Purdy had a lot to offer in terms of sports, but everything they did, you played. So there, you just were with the same 8 years probably widespread of people just over and over and over again. So a lot. But again, super blessed with the people that were there and just that were guiding me and pushing me. And but luckily, I kind of had that competitive nature in me as a little kid, and so that just kind of sprung forward as I went.
Did you have the same head coach all 4 years?
I did not. I had Coach George was my freshman coach, and then I had Coach Young, sophomore, junior, senior. So he came in from Neosho my sophomore year, and I had him the rest of my career at Purdy.
Yeah, well, Grant actually rented a house for me. He lived in Bolivar when he was coaching at Wheatland.
Yeah.
Years and years ago. Now he's a very successful softball coach at Washington High School in St. Louis. And
yeah, he's at a community college now. This was his first year. Yeah, softball, same town in Washington. Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, I can remember, and I believe, and this goes back 10, 12 years ago, you guys were playing in the Final Four, and he took you bowling one night up in Columbia, and he did an interview while you guys were bowling on the scoreboard show. I can remember that, but great times. And, as you look back at your high school career, are there games that kind of stand out to you? And most people, and myself included, you remember those games that maybe got away from you that I'd like to go back and play that again. We should have won that game. I didn't play very well, or something happened, in the game. Are there games that you look at back from your high school career that you'd like to go back and say, man, I'd like to do that again?
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you don't win the last one, you're always going to say the last one. I think it's the one that probably is always going to stick with you a little longer than the rest. I was lucky enough to win my last one as a junior, but not as a senior. And so that one's always I remember where it was at. I remember who we were playing. I remember kind of I don't necessarily remember the score. I know it was close. I know we didn't score a lot, which didn't help, but that's the one that's always going to sting probably the hardest. I would say the same thing in my college career. But in high school, the one in the game, there was a game or two, I can't remember before that, but we played Liberal in districts, and they hadn't always been in our district, so I don't really know if it had changed that year. I don't exactly remember the background of it, but we had won in double overtime, and going into it, I think that we were decently supposed to be heavy favorites. Obviously, if you ask Liberal fans, they're not going to say the same. But I had run into that coach, I don't know, a handful of years ago. It was probably longer now that I realize, but she always brings it up. And she's like, we should have had you. We should have had you. And they should have. Like, we did not deserve to win that game. But that was one of the good ones I remember, winning in double overtime. I remember a few others. Of course, I kind of mentioned, like, there was 2 or 3 girls at Verona that were my age that every time we played them, like, it was just a dogfight. I couldn't tell you now, like, how many we won, how many we lost, but I know that we didn't win them all, and I know we didn't lose them all. I know that it was a good battle between them every time, and Verona being, 15 minutes down the road, it was somebody that we always wanted to beat. And when Wilkerson was at Miller, obviously they were really good. Once she graduated, we kind of got a revenge a little bit, but we didn't when she was there. So played them very tough. Same with Exeter. And I remember gyms. Obviously, like I haven't been back home for a while, and don't necessarily just go to high school games when I do in the area as much, but I just can picture, probably almost every gym that I definitely played in a conference, probably districts. And I think just the surroundings and the people and the fans and just the, Purdy traveled, like even to Columbia when you mentioned state, like the amount of people that we had there was incredible. And so just those are the things that I kind of remember the most. Of course, there's specific games and specific times in games, but not overall like who we beat or who we didn't beat or that kind of stuff. Like I said, I'll remember the last one the most. But other than that, like just the memories of the fans and the people and the friends that are lifelong for sure.
Outstanding. As you look back, is there one specific shot that you remember hitting? Maybe it was your first basket, or maybe it was when you broke the state record for 3-pointers.
Yeah, that's when I remember. I do remember that one. It was at Fair Grove. And what's funny about that one too is later, obviously, I transferred back to Drury, and Jared Harmon, I don't know if you know that name, but he went to Fair Grove. I can't remember if he was my age or not, but he went to Fair Grove, and then he ended up going to Drury after that. And he came up to me when I transferred there, and he was like, I was at that game. And he was running the scores table or scores clock when I hit it. And so I'll never forget him telling me that, but I'll never forget the shot either.
Very good. Very good. Then you make the decision after high school to attend college. Kind of take us, through that decision and what that was like. And I'm sure Kent's got a couple of collegiate questions for you, but take us through that process and what led to Wayne State.
Yeah. It was a hard process, and honestly, I've told a few people this since then, but now being on the other side of that, recruiting kids is interesting. But then when I got my first head coaching job, it kind of felt a little bit the same, that you were kind of going back to be recruited, which was fun and not fun all at the same time. I knew like I mentioned earlier, I loved Purdy and I loved Southwest Missouri, but at the same time, like I knew I wanted to get away. I knew I wanted something new and different, and at the time, my goal, and I accomplished it in high school, but my goal in high school was always to win a state championship. Like that was always my goal. As a collegiate athlete, that was going to be my goal too, moving forward. And I knew that, and I knew that I wasn't talented enough to go to UConn or South Carolina or Texas or whoever that was at the time. And so I knew I wanted to win one, which to me, that meant D2. I had options to go D1. I really considered that hard. But at the end of the day, I knew that going D1 meant I probably could get a conference championship and maybe make the tournament, but that wasn't enough for me at the time. And so that's kind of what eluded me. It was between a D1 and a D2. It really was when it came down to it. And it was one in Texas or one in Nebraska, which is completely opposites. So obviously weather, all that kind of stuff, it didn't matter. I just wanted to win. And I just felt like that I wanted to go somewhere that I could do that the best. So I chose Wayne State. It felt like Purdy, to be honest. Like it was small town. I don't even know if there was a stoplight there either, a couple restaurants, but other than that, it was just a small town feel. Everybody knew you. Everybody came to the games. And so all of that, just the people is what drew me there, of course. And I enjoyed, I still talk to a lot of those girls today. It's funny because obviously I transferred, so kind of had a falling out with my coach, but he's in Ohio now actually too. And we've kind of reconnected and we talk all the time now too. So that's kind of a cool story to look back on. And it took some time. He wasn't the most happy with me leaving, but we've kind of forgiven each other for that. And it's just a cool story that we started there and now we're both in Ohio. So, but yeah, that's kind of what my story was of getting to Wayne.
I know Kent's got a couple of collegiate questions.
Well, I know your senior year at Drury, you were in the top 20 in the country in your assist to turnover ratio, which is one that's always been close to my heart, and follow all my life. And that tells me a lot about the player. That also kind of leads to somebody coaching. I think there's a strong connection there. Tell us about your transition from being on the court to being on the sidelines, but not able to get into the game. What's that like to know that you're not going to be playing, but you're responsible now. You're the coach.
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to coach ever since I couldn't tell you an age. I knew for a long time that I wanted to stay in basketball. I didn't know really what that looked like, what that meant, whether that was, high school or college or AAU or anything. I just knew I wanted to be involved. I really always enjoyed, you kind of talk about, the assist to turnover ratio. I really always enjoyed, the player development, X's and O's part of the game. Like, to me, the X's and O's part's like a game in the game. And I really have always enjoyed that, of trying to outthink and outsmart the coach on the other side. Something that I just really enjoy doing. And so I knew that was something I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to stay at Drury to do it, just because I knew it'd be hard to coach the people I played with, my best friends. I didn't think that was the right thing for me to do at the time. And I had heard from some people that had done it, and they kind of wished they hadn't. And so that was kind of of like, okay, let's go somewhere else and do that kind of thing. And Guy, but my dad's a business person, so my background's in business. I've spent many hours in his shop down in Purdy, and so I knew that I wanted to get my degree in business, just in case I didn't like the coaching thing. I would kind of have a background to fall back on. So I knew I wanted to get my MBA, but somebody was like, well, why don't you just go coach and get your MBA at the same time? And so that just was like, yeah, duh, like, come on. And so I called Coach Lord. He had kind of recruited me out of high school a little bit. And so I called him, and honestly, I called him more for advice than I did, to ask for a job. But he was the first person I had talked to, and he was like, well, why don't you just come GA here at Pittsburgh State? And so I was like, okay, like, sounds great. And I knew that their success that they had, I knew that I probably learned a lot from him. And I knew that he was a lot different than Molly. And so that was kind of my goal too, of, I had Coach K at Wayne and I had Molly at Drury. Let's go learn from somebody that's not like either one of them. And just to kind of broaden what I know about the game of basketball, and how can I, enhance my knowledge of that. And I knew he wasn't like them, and it panned out kind of perfectly. Obviously, God opens doors, and he definitely opened that one at the right time. And so really enjoyed my time there. Yeah, it was different. I have to say, people always ask, do you miss, lacing them up and putting them on? And to a certain extent, yes. But at the end of the day, I knew somehow, some way, I just needed to continue to get the competitive nature in, my daily life as well. And coaching filled that for me. And so I didn't miss it too much, honestly. Like, I still got the feel, I still got the excitement and the competitiveness and the joy. Of course, I would lace them up some and play as a GA, out there. But I just really enjoyed seeing the game. I was always told, and I always felt it, but, being a point guard, you're kind of the coach on the floor, right? And so I kind of always had that background of knowing what to say and knowing the questions to ask, and, pushing the right buttons, I guess you could say. So I really just enjoyed listening for a little while and asking questions and giving my advice of what I saw, especially to the point guards, but to the guards in general. Coach Lord let me work with the guards. And so I just really enjoyed that, just to seeing them grow and to see them get better, whether it's from beginning to end or however that was. But that's probably the joy that I get out of now, is just seeing them grow as people for sure, but as basketball players too.
Well, and you've been a success at every level that you've been, and now that you've been a coach for as long as you've been a coach, you've talked to a lot of high school girls, those that you have wound up coaching, those that you wanted but didn't get, and those that wanted to be where you were but they weren't selected by you. So what message would you deliver to those high school girls that perhaps they don't always hear, that would put them in good stead to be successful at the college level? What should they prepare before they get to you?
Yeah, I think I'll answer that a couple different ways. I'll answer it from a coach recruiting them, and then just, as a player. But as a coach kind of recruiting, I kind of tell them, and I tell every recruit this that I either talk to on the phone or have in my office, but you got to have, 2 to 3 non-negotiables. Like, what I mean by that is, like, what is important to you? And so when you're looking for a school, I think there's a lot of times that kids miss that part of it. And it's not because they just don't know. They don't know what to look for. They don't know whether they're, the first kid going to school and their parents don't know, or things have changed since, even their parents probably went to college, even if they did play basketball or a sport in general. And so I kind of tell them, sit down and think about what's important, like whether that's playing as a freshman, whether that's distance from home, whether that's making sure that they have, the major that you want, whether that's you're really looking for a faith-based university or you're looking for a small university versus big. Like there's so many factors that go into making a college decision that I think people can kind of get caught up in the level, or they can get caught up in, oh, they were good, and so they're going to stay being good. And so I'll tell them all different things. And there's a lot that's like, I've never thought of that, or I've never sat down to really write it down. And I tell them, if you have those three things that are important to you and you go to a school that has those three things, like you're going to be happy no matter what happens. Like no matter if it's going to be hard no matter where you go. So when it gets hard, when you hit those, low moments, whether it's life or basketball or relationships or whatever that is, like you have those three things that, are your, goals or values, and that school has them, you're going to be okay. If you go to a school that, you just picked it because at the time it was fun and they said the right things, like we're recruiters, it's what we do as a living. And so like, we're going to tell you what you want to hear. And so how do you kind of, manipulate that to do what's best for you? And so if you go to a school that doesn't have those three things, like you're not going to be happy, you're not going to enjoy it. And I hear too many times, and it's sad, but of kids just not enjoying their college career or ending their career and just not enjoying it like they thought they would. And I think that that's a big reason why. And so that was kind of a long answer, but that's what I say as a coach. As a person, really just like I teach my girls, and I really try to instill in them to not compare. Like, do not compare. We are all differently. God made us all different for a reason. And if you spend your time comparing, like, how social media is nowadays, that's all they do. And so comparing just is going to set you up, and, it's the thief of all joy. And I really believe that. And so to try to kind of get them to be their own self and to be happy with who they are, and confident young women, is really what I try to instill in my players, but it's what I would tell a lot of young people too.
Well, I think that's terrific information. I wish every high school boy or girl could hear what you just said, because I mean, you spoke a lot of truth there.
Thank you.
And one thing, Coach, as I've visited, yesterday with Cass Johnson, who is now in banking. Annie Armstrong yesterday, who is a physical therapist. Lauren Aldrich today, who is a prosecuting attorney in Arkansas, and now yourself, a head coach, basketball coach at a university. Everyone's very successful, that we've got the opportunity to talk to. What role do you believe your playing career at the high school and collegiate level played in that success that you continue to survive?
Yeah, I think, well, one, upbringing for sure. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. But two, I think team sports teach you so much, just about life and relationships and communication and ups and downs, because you're going to go through all of that. And so I think it kind of builds you a little bit of a backbone, but also like you're in it because you're competitive. And so I think just having that nature of, it doesn't matter what you end up doing afterwards, but you want to be good at it. And you're going to work really hard. And I think that if you don't work hard, then you're probably not going to get to where the success of all those people you just mentioned in their college careers was done by hard work. Like, obviously we were given the skill, but you got to work hard too. And I think that's already in them. So once you kind of get out of college, you have that base. And then no matter what, direction you pick as a career, like it sets you up for success if you're willing to take it. And I think what's cool to hear is all those people doing super well. But yeah, I mean, it's a testament to their hard work. And I think team sports allow you to kind of learn that.
And one I omitted there because I told her you were going to get the last word. Kayla Burgess, who I visited with earlier today, and you've seen parts of that interview because I emailed it to you. You go down to Pitt State as a GA, and she's playing. Tell us a little bit, and like I told her, you were going to get the last word. tell us a little bit about Michaela and what your experience has been.
Yeah, I'd have to count how many years I've coached, but I've never coached anyone like her, and I'm pretty for sure I never will. I'm pretty confident on that statement. It's funny because I walk in as a GA and I don't know anyone. I didn't really know Lord either, so I'm kind of going in. I knew some of their names. I had seen them in high school, but I didn't really know them. And she was rooming at the time with Paige Imhoff and Brindley McPherson, and they needed another roommate. And I didn't have anywhere to go. I was a GA. At first I thought it was weird, but they like run up to Coach Lord and they're like, "Hey, can Coach Roller room with us?" And he was like, "Yeah, I guess, I don't care." And so for a year I lived with him, which is even more unique. And you learn a lot even more. But on the floor, I mean, there's nobody like her. Like, she is the most hard-headed. She says I'm hard-headed. She outranks me in the hard-headedness. I am hard-headed. I will admit to that. Yes. And a lot of people would say that as well. But she's got me in that aspect, but it's a good, and I think Lord was perfect for her. I think you have to be the right coach to handle me and her as players. And I think that, but it's why she was so good. Like, if there's no other way that anybody would want her to be, because of how she made everyone around her better, whether they really wanted to be or not. Like, she was going to push them and to a point where like they were going to get on board, or they weren't, going to play anymore. And I think that she did it just enough. And it showed, like, how good her 4 years were in high school, how good her 4 years were in college. But talk about work ethic. Like, that kid, like, you literally would have to drag her out of the gym, on a daily basis, because of how much work that whether she played bad or good, like, it wasn't enough. It never was. And that's one thing that I think is why she's so good at what she's doing now, because she's going to work hard. But like, that work ethic, like, it was funny because in the interview, I don't remember what the question was or what you had asked, but she had talked about effort. And that is such a Michaela Burgess answer. But it's like perfect, because she's not wrong, but she expected that from everybody, which is why her teams were as good as they were. And I think that that's just a testament to her parents. And her mom actually played for my grandpa. So we kind of have a little bit of history there as well. But she's a wonderful friend. She's a wonderful human being. We still talk to this day and always will. And we just can really relate. And she was a joy to coach. She really was. And it was funny at times. She's so right when she talked about how sometimes the coaches just kind of wanted to do this drill, to be a fun drill, and Michaela couldn't make it fun. Like, everything was competitive. Everything was life or death. But it's why she was so successful. And just kids don't come around that way anymore. So you'll see them every once in a while, but not like that.
You bet. Well, it's been a tremendous privilege to be able to catch up with you. Again, we've been visiting with Addie Roller Miller, head coach, Coach Miller at Cedarville University. It was great to catch up with you, and I can still remember times over the holidays when I'd be doing a live show on ESPN, and I would call Coach Young and I'd say, "I've got nobody coming in." And he goes, "Hey, Addie and them's in Springfield. I'll just have them drive by the station." You guys would come in, and then the Harmons from Walnut Grove would come down. But it was always tremendous. I always enjoyed visiting with you. You've been nothing but a class act on and off the court. And I really enjoyed getting to know your dad, Mike, big Cardinal fan.
Oh, yeah.
And we went down there, and when he realized that my uncle was Stan Musial, he just went berserk. He's like, "Okay." And they didn't say, "Hey, I'm going to fly to a game." I said, "I'm not flying with you."
Yeah.
Nothing to do with him. It was just me. I don't fly. But Addie, tremendous pleasure, and best of luck. And maybe this year we get in the basketball season, we'll catch up and see how you guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate your time. Nice to meet you, Kent. But thank you for your guys' time and what you do. It's really cool, and keep doing the good work, because we enjoy it and we enjoy listening.
Well, and
thank you, Addie.
If folks want to see that entire list of our 1,000-point scores that we have, you can go to my Twitter account at Scoreboard Guy, or at Kent's at Playing_Sports, and it's pinned right there, and it changes every day because we get emails from coaches and every day. I mean, we're adding 100 a week to that list, and some of the schools have been lost. The records have been lost, so we're not really sure on some of the things. But I do know that Addie Roller scored 1,000 points because she did it in 3-pointers alone, I believe. But Coach Miller, thanks so much for your time. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
You too. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Watching. Oh, go ahead, Kent.
No, I was just thanking her once more. It's been terrific.
You're watching Missouri Milestones, the podcast on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage.
There's a reason Chevy is called the heartbeat of America. The heartbeat's strong, steady, unwavering. Like the people who keep this country moving, doing what they do best. Helping neighbors, pitching in, getting it done. For them, only America's most dependable truck will do. And every Chevy truck, like every Chevy driver, dependability comes standard.